Hello, this is Lubjub, and welcome to Chapter 2.5, Scatty Brained Monologuing, a follow-up part 2. I'm going to try my best to actually do voices a bit better in this one, so good luck. Let's hope I do it. Hiya Barry, how you doing mate? What he says, with professional yet casual undertones in his voice. Aye, pretty good, thanks for asking, Pet. You're back in one piece, so I assume you're doing alright yourself, man. Hey hey. Barry chuckles to himself. I'm glad you're here. Head down to the basement though. There's a little something you need hearing. He smiled the entire time. See? I said he was a nutter, didn't I? I have to admit, I have given you a bit of a lengthy and pointless request. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I wanted to. But something's been amiss for a while up in them plains. And I had a suspicion when mushy started growing more frequently than it should be. Barry continues his relentless speech. You know, these fungi only release reproductive spores when the root meets a particular stone called Vichessia in the ground. This stuff is rare, a kind of thing we have big clashes over when it's found. Mushy shouldn't be popping up as fast as they are. As you all know, most of the materials, or mats as we call them these days, that adventurers like yourselves go out seeking from treasure chests, gathering, or through fighting with the local wildlife. How often do you come across mats without a purpose across multiple disciplines? When you mention it, Rua chimes in before the word vomit continues. Moithro sort of can do this within smithing and construction disciplines. But Vichessia, that stuff makes Moithro look tame. I've learned through my little experimentation that there's a lot more to this stuff. You remember my little day trip to Castle Koch? He finished saying with a grin. Who doesn't? Horace sings aloud like a one-man choir. Oh my god, it is so hard to do this without effects. I'd been working on a new debuff potion like a Horace's non-lethal weaponry. I figured there's definitely a market for something mad like this, so I experimented by making a non-lethal itching potion as my first project. But lo and behold, Horace had mixed up my ingredients drawers, and instead of I managed to make something unfamiliar. It shifted colours of its own accord, Barry said, with a cheeky grin on his face, finishing his talking. We all suddenly had the same thought of shifting colours, looking at each other with concern. Aye, always returning to a distinctive iridescent amber colour though. Barry used his certain art to identify what he added and conjured the list in the air for us all to see. 1 vial of drag blood, heated to 500°C, stirred, not shaken. 3 elder ent lumber, taken for autumnal senescence. 3 pairs of local feet, sourced ethically. Nana's twin needles, used with love. 7 autumn hearts maintained at -44°C. Vichessia stone. Rua couldn't help but speak out. Each of those is the primary ingredient for the highest potions in the class, right? Drag blood for strength, and numbers for wisdom, local feet for agility, 2 needles for dexterity, and autumn hearts for vitality. Barry play. That they are. Then what did the Vichessia do exactly? Replied with. Something I didn't think would be possible. It's what allowed me to do what I did with Koch Manor. No way could I have without taking super hard to make potions with like that. The Vichessia stone seemed to function as an adaptogen. Adapter what? What he said with a raised brow. It's something that I thought up. It responds to what you need, he said to us, continuous repeated verbal attacks. It amplified the intended effect each ingredient specialises in. I should be dead by all counts, but the amplification sent me whole being into overdrive. Tore the front gate off with my bare hands, and then the idea popped up into my head. Run fast, then kill into a ball aiming at the walls, and I found myself ricocheting around completely unharmed. Edgelord is the only sentient known to have even done any damage to that damn manor, and he was fully enhanced when he struck it. I thought to myself. Queen Araya, used the infamous Deadshot ability when I stopped to appreciate the work I did. It conjured arrows was huge, man, and I watched the whole thing in slow motion as the speed effects kicked in. Barry stretched upwards before continuing. The arrow hit me between the eyes, and there wasn't a mark on me. A recipe for disaster if anyone thinks to use it in a more nefarious way, trying to sound comical as I do. But having heard what I just heard, I don't think I can hide it at all. Remember when I just wanted normality in my life? I sighed out my thoughts. Well, this is not how I saw my day unfolding, Woody holding his hand over his eyes said. Something or someone has been stockpiling Vigessia stones on the plains, Barry says. Whatever the intentions, it needs resolving. So I'll set out a request with a peck of a big reward for finishing it. I tried to begin speaking about Barry's request, and an overwhelming force takes over my body. Unlike the speech case, this one feels different. I found myself stumbling backwards, losing all feeling and sense of control as I rushed to my party members, who are trying to aid me in my sudden seizure, my vision splitting in two. My friends are aiding me in my left field of vision. The right, I see Cerelia and the major guards. There are minor ones in the chamber, so near, yet so far at the same time. Yet I hear everything, and not once encountered anything like this, nor have I ever heard whispers or talk of such a thing either. At the round table, the spectator relished. There's a bright room filled with crystals and figures. The 7 of dawn, they gathered around a large, dark wooden table. The sermon of the dawn is singing aloud. Cerelia, almighty and most pure of all, first of the heavenly realm and head of the table. Araya, the logic, second of the gods, she giveth her lifeblood for the races to conjure. Ioan the Gaia, third of the gods, he giveth his lifeblood for the crops to grow. Chanag the Aqua, fourth of the gods, she giveth her lifeblood to let water flow. Arikaya the Ignis, the fifth of the gods, he giveth his lifeblood to govern the forge. Nella the Gale, sixth of the gods, she giveth her lifeblood to move the skies. Terukan the Keeper, seventh of the gods, he giveth his lifeblood to maintain the writings. Holy shit, that was hard. The figures in the room cry out in unison. The sermon has been the same since the beginning of all that was and ever will be. You must now witness your return in motion, youngling, a voice in my mind spoke. The incident should not have occurred, boomed Cerelia, causing the attendees much hurt as they dropped to the floor at her voice attack. A failure on the CCTV has led to the cardinal rule break-in. In an instant, all, including the fellow gods at the table, fell to their knees in agony as she let out a flash of pure white light from her eyes. A young god in training, or GIT as the Dawn have named them, so piped up. Almighty One, please forgive me. It was but a moment that I did not have attention, my utmost attention to the happening, he sobbed aloud. Another white flash, and the room filled with cries that were shaking the realm in pain. Silence, you worthless cretin! Do not speak! I shall say when you speak! She barked at the youngling god. The room is becoming further away suddenly. My vision turns black. I am there again, running and looking back at the scenes of the 7, who are unleashing vicious attacks on the attendees. I don't understand, raced through my mind. You must keep watching, youngling, the voice in my head says, and more scenes upon scenes appeared. I hear speaking eventually, yet it seems it is a date and time. There are even more attendees in this meeting. I see one that seems to be smiling, a smile that is piercing me and sending chills. Cerelia began speaking again. Malata is formed, and the people will be reborn anew. Let what happened be a lesson to the importance of the CCTV. I do not wish for another occasion like it to ever happen again. She says with a cold tone, one that says, if you fail me, death will be swift. Her face lights up, the room in turn, and the attendees are returned to normal. One of her many powers, the voice whispers to me, do not fall for it. But a figure proceeds forward and speaks to the goddess. Surely, your divine almightiness, wouldn't it be great to add unfamiliar ideas in the mix? I had an idea for a feature, a rather bold one in fact. Perhaps you would like to hear about it. Leaving no time for response, and simply continue to talk to her. I had this idea in which we generate little areas, randomly in their formations. Some are to be filled with slayable monsters. Maybe others require carrying out a set of duties to clear. Perhaps one of these areas contains a lone foe, one that is unlike any other, requiring a combined effort with many users, all partaking to successfully obtain a reward. They continued speaking. Of course, we could automate when and where such a thing could happen, for we are the masters of all, are we not? The figure said. Don't make anything too over the top, Val. Godly relations are furious still over the state of the world merger. Never in our existence has something so obscene occurred, bellowed Cerelia. Val responded, Of course, Divine One. I would never dare to include something that would be fatal. Cerelia replied to him after a short pause. Val, consider me impressed by such a fine display of forward thinking. But if I find it's causing issues for my precious little ones, not take it away. We mere younglings sing your praise, dear Cerelia. He quickly vanishes to a dark room, with nothing of note around except a small stone stage in which he stood upon. A dim candle began illuminating his area. I am in the body of a robed figure, surrounded by others like me and bowing in his presence. Val returns unto us. Glory be to Kaiser! Glory be to Kaiser! They chant. Let the games begin, comrades! He shouted to them. The voice said one last thing before fading. Go forth, let the darkness entwine you, fate denier.